Hello, my YouTube family. This is Maureen, your relationship coach and educator. Greetings to everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're doing the best you can, even with so many unpleasant news all over the world. Let me encourage you all to remain strong and resilient in time of difficulties. And I pray that God's presence will remain with you all. Today's video will be on how husbands should treat their wives. And these are biblical principles, okay? Marriage, according to biblical principles, indicates that a marriage is a covenant between a husband and wife. Thus, to maintain a godly relationship, there are some guided principles that both husbands and wives should adhere to. My talking points today will be on husband leaving and cleaving, husband loving their wives as Christ loves the church, husband not being bitter against their wives, husband enjoying and taking care of their wives, and husband loving their wives as their own self. I will start with Genesis 2 verse 24. In the King James Version it reads, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh." A very profound verse indeed. This is pointing to what could be viewed as a picture of a marital bond. This is also about a husband and his wife leaving their parents' home and establishing their own private home. Let me also say that for couples who remain in their parents' home, it is also about establishing your own private family, okay? Starting your own family and developing your own, set of standards and friendship. You are now like the glue. We stick together. We showcase the unity that should exist in a marriage, and also be committed to your wife. Okay? The next point is from Ephesians 5 verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. What does this look like in a marriage? You see, the love of Christ to the church is a spiritual example, which could be viewed as sacrificial love, sincere love, just being pure. And this love should be demonstrated even when there are misunderstandings, when someone fails. This is how deep the instruction is for a husband to love his wife. Now, this type of love does not just come about naturally, just like that. It takes constant practicing of the words of the Lord and developing a relationship with the Lord by studying his words and applying them to your lives. So it's not as easy as I am saying it, but when you love genuinely, it can allow you to fit into the love commitment that God intended for husbands to demonstrate to his wife. Then from Colossians 3 verse 19, The instruction is, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Now, this is suggesting that husbands should not be angry or harsh with your wives. It is also a way of saying, get rid of all the bitterness, right? If there's any bitterness, it should not be within the relationship at all. Get rid of the anger, the malice. In other words, husbands are instructed to be gentle in your actions towards your wife, as these kind of behaviors have no place in a Christian relationship. Again, this can be accomplished by applying the words of the Lord to your life and within the relationship. It can happen. The next verse is from Ephesians 5 verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. Such a profound verse. Now, what does this say to the husband on the matter of loving himself and his body so that he can love his wife? I would say it is about nourishing your bodies. It is about respecting and appreciating it. It is also about cherishing yourself, cherishing your body, engage in self-care, or just taking care of the whole man. It is also about understanding your wife. Now, the danger is if a husband does not know how to love himself or his own body, he may not know how to love his wife. So that is something that a husband, have to bear in mind and work towards loving the whole person. So for a husband to love his wife like his own body, or love his wife as he loves himself, it is suggesting that he has to first develop that love for himself. Because when you love yourself, you're not going to harm yourself, right? You're not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to be bitter against yourself. You're not going to speak down to yourself. And so it will become natural when you develop that relationship with yourself. Then you're able now to demonstrate that same type of love for your wife. Okay? The next point is about a behavior that wives were instructed to do in regards to submitting to their husbands. And I did a video on how wives should be submissive and the importance of, doing that. It's also to fulfill the words of the Lord, okay? But when Paul tells wives to submit to their husbands in Ephesians 5 verse 24, he was not saying wives must be neglected or mistreated in any way or being abused in any way by their husbands, as so often the above verse is misunderstood. God is depending on both husbands and wives to adhere to his commands for a godly relationship to strive. Okay? Proverbs 5, 18 and 19 and 1 Timothy 5 verse 8. In brief, encourages husbands to enjoy their wives and to take good care of them. In other words, be attentive. Assist them, whether it's going to be financially, emotionally, and spiritually. He should do his best to cherish and nurture her soul. Husbands should take a spiritual leadership in the home that will bring the glory of God and tremendous joy in your marriage. In doing so, both husbands and wives can grow stronger and closer in their relationship. In closing, let me leave a quote that I read in regards to the TWO, the togetherness of Aquila and Priscilla. When Aquila and Priscilla are mentioned in the scripture, they are always mentioned together. They appeared to be inseparable. Someone once said that togetherness involves every dimension of our lives. There is emotional intimacy, the sharing of significant feelings; intellectual intimacy, the sharing in the world of ideas; the creative intimacy, the sharing of acts of creativity; recreational intimacy, the sharing of activities and fun times; work intimacy, sharing in common tasks; crisis intimacy, standing together against the adversities of life; spiritual intimacy, the sharing of spiritual beliefs; and sexual intimacy, which is very important in the relationship. True togetherness comes when we experience all of these above intimacy. All of these are important and they are vital to the life of not just the husband, but to the couple, to the marriage, to the relationship. And so it's important that we pay attention to all of these for our marriage to work. Thank you so much for listening, and may the love of the Lord surround your relationship, and may His blessings be upon you always.